Thank you, Paulo, and everyone, and above all, João, for the invitation. It's always a pleasure to be here and to learn so many things. Some 50 years ago, Maria Helena Vieira da Silva presented the city like this. Certainly, artists that we have just seen are particularly good in asking us and raising new questions, not only about cities, but about everything. And certainly, this figure do represent a lot of the complexity cities really are within our daily life. But we all know that the debates in cities have actually not been into this type of relations, and over many, many years has been particularly concentrated on building, construction, and essentially about the growth of urban population in cities. And we also know that the result of that has in many ways been like this one, a photograph taken last summer in the city of Rio de Janeiro. It could well have been taken almost last week in Lisbon, where the FCT fellowships have protested in the Lisbon streets. But this manifestation, which have involved more than 3 million people, has been made spontaneously out of social networks and which has mobilized a lot of people. We know this has not been unique of Rio de Janeiro, and a lot of movements worldwide, namely the Occupy movement, essentially in North America, as briefly described by Noam Chomsky a few years ago, and more recently, the rebel cities in São Paulo and Rio de Janeiro do describe many of the complexity actually we could envisage some years ago from the drawings of Vieira da Silva. By the time of these manifestations, actually, in the city of Porto was visited by Isuo Fujimoto, one of the most well-known architects, which actually has drawn this year Serpentine Pavilion, and actually he was giving a talk here and another in Lisbon about the many, many scales and the many, many, what happens here, interactions we need to understand within cities. And this brings the rationale for this very brief talk, which I will essentially try to understand those relations and interactions between the city and the social constructions of technical systems, arguing about the complexity of issues when we essentially pretend to understand the training of human capital, social networking, and the more general issue of sustainable development of modern cities. The question I will try to bring to you is essentially how people learn, and the research hypothesis I would like to face and to discuss with you is that the emerging, say, nature of people-centered systems, as we have seen this morning here in this room, have brought to us the very strong idea that the local context engages and imposes a set of social attributes determining very much the creation and development of knowledge networks and learning practices. Let me give you an example, actually very close, made by students of the University of Porto that has built under a very much voluntary basis what has been known by FAP no Bairro, a very, say, a learning community, again promoted by students with very poor childs in the Estrela neighborhood, a very poor zone here in Porto, where they really try to build one of these learning communities among different generations. For those that have not been aware of FAP in Bairro, I strongly suggest you to understand what is going on here. And again, we can also find many other these type of communities, not only with this happy nature. Again, this photograph was taken last summer in Rio de Janeiro, and you see the type of expression these people feel. Again, it could well be taken last week in Lisbon during the manifestations of the FCT fellowships. And some of these city events sometimes get more difficult like this one. It actually was particularly interesting, the talk earlier today about the status of the police as a citizen. And actually, in Rio de Janeiro, he got very individual feelings like this one, what we get. Actually, by the time of these manifestations, Science Journal has published a very important issue on the way our brain do also represent multiple connections, and again advances in the neurosciences today lead us to understand the city not only in a collective context, but also better understanding the way our brain reacts and actively monitor the social networks under which we live. And therefore, the research question which we have been trying to face in order to understand future policies like the one which I have addressed in this session is essentially how far we can influence urban contexts in a way to stimulate and foster forms of sustainable development in both individual and collective terms, or in a different words, how far can we use technology to foster smarter citizens? This is not a new question. Actually, if we look over the last century or so, we have many different interpretations of this very general question. Probably in the early 20th century, the Garden City was by that time one of the most important movements in order to modernize the city. After the First World War, the industrial city has very much mobilized many cities worldwide. Many years ago, in the 90s, the digital city has essentially provoked discussions worldwide, and more recent, in the last 20 years, the idea of a top-down smart city, which actually have been failing consecutively, has very much drawn attention like of this audience. But things have dramatically changed. And today, the internet do allow us, as we have just seen today, a completely different context for the way we can understand social and individual relations in the city. Essentially, again, very much promoted by wireless networks, although we also know clearly that information is not everything. This is not new. And again, this has particularly been actively promoted through a wide variety of sensors, from nanosensors, as those which actually have already been presented here this morning, particularly active in the area of consumption, like this photograph taken a few weeks ago in the metro in the Tokyo city, or in health and daycare, as many of you has particularly realized the practicability of these systems nowadays.